Have you ever felt that a mixture of anticipation and anxiety of the opening of a photo album? Read more. It is perhaps a sense of nostalgia to relive the moments that shaped their lives, their emotions, their stories. But what if, when you open the album, you will come across something that is completely different from what I imagined? And if you flip through the pages, I realize that all the photos that you have appeared to have been cut off, deleted, or simply doesn't exist anymore. The feeling of emptiness, of surprise, upsetting, it can be devastating. It's like, all of a sudden, all a part of her story had been erased, as if you had never been there. Have you ever gone through this? You may without realizing it. You've lived through a similar experience, even if in silence. The feeling of invisibility, exclusion, it is something that a lot of people carry them, and often we do not understand what is going on. Stay with me until the very end, because that's all you're going to find out now. You will be surprised. Let's explore together the emotional impact of being removed from a space, as in a symbolic and in a photo album, where apparently it was supposed to be posted on our story to life. Because in fact, it is this experience that goes far beyond the simple fact of losing the image. It reveals a profound question about the ownership, memory, and identity. You'll find out how to silence it many times, the most cruel words and harsh, and, as the gestures are small, they can hide the racism shown that, while subtle, it has a destructive power is enormous. The story that I'm going to tell it to someone who lived in such pain, and the feeling of non-existence to be erased from the collective memory of the family. And at the same time, it is a silent struggle against that invisibility that come up with recognition and her truth. To prepare for this discussion, because what comes next will make you think about your own story, your memories, and you the one who decides what we should and should not be missed. You are going to realize that sometimes the more silence, and it is he who speaks too loudly. If this topic makes no sense to you, leave it here in the comments on what you played, or any experience that has a relationship with the idea of invisibility and recognition. Your participation is very important, because it not only enriches the conversation, but it also helps the channel to grow and to reach more people, like you, are seeking a better understanding of these issues as humans. When you are enjoying a video, you show that you value this content encouraging for us to continue bringing in issues that concern the minds and hearts of one and all. And if you want to continue with stories, reflections, and discussions, which are subject to the emotions and deep thoughts, don't hesitate to subscribe to the channel. Here is our connection to strengthen the exchange of experiences and desire to learn more about ourselves and the world around us. Feel free to leave a comment, give a like, and turn on notifications. This will make all the difference in your journey. After all, each and every feedback of yours is a very important part for us to continue bringing you the content that you are really making a difference. Right now, we're going to move forward. There is still a lot to explore on this journey of discovery. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that's the true transformation happens when we begin to see beneath the surface of our decisions and our actions every day. Many times we get so caught up in the routine and in the number of small tasks for the day-to-day that we forget to question why certain choices, or to reflect on the impact that they have on the way. It is as if we are living in a sort of auto-following a route that has been imposed on, or what we have learned in the course of time, without even realizing it, we can rewrite it at any time. Such an understanding is crucial for those who are seeking for a genuine change, as it shows that our freedom is, above all, the ability to consciously choose what really matters to you. This is a journey of self-discovery, is about having the courage to face the truth, which is hidden by the back of our actions are automatic. Many of the decisions we make without thinking about, for example, could be deep-rooted patterns of behavior by which we are taught in childhood, or in the limiting beliefs that we have without realizing it. These beliefs act as the blocks are invisible, and shaping our own perceptions, our limitations, and even the way we perceive the world around us. The big reveal is that when you unfold these built-in mechanisms, we can begin to question everything they ever believed to be true, and making space for new perspectives, which before seemed to be unattainable. And it is precisely at this point that the transformation is to be consolidated, as we came to understand that the choices we make are not random, but are the result of a chain of decisions that are influenced by internal and external factors. When we started to map these factors, it is clear that we can, however, change the course of history by changing the root of line with what they want to achieve. This awareness gives us the power, a sense that we are the authors of our own narrative, even when everything seems to be spinning out of control. Since that time, the liability ceases to be a burden and take the opportunity to shape a reality that is aligned with our deepest values. However, this period of self-discovery brings her behind the scenes, revealed the uncomfortable and even difficult to accept. Many of the times we come across with the aspects of ourselves that we would prefer to conceal, such as insecurities, fears, or repressed desires. And it is at this point that with the courage to face the truth is absolutely essential. Because if you really want to evolve, you need to be ready to face it in these parts that we would prefer to ignore. It is not that easy, of course. In the end, changing the mindset requires effort, persistence, and a portion of the risk. But it's also the one who makes such a journey is so powerful. It makes a real impact on our lives, how we interact with the world and the people around around us. In the course of the process, we see that the transformation doesn't happen overnight. It is a solid construction and a series of small decisions that add up to create a profound impact on the way we think, feel, and act. Each and every insight, every reflection, every decision in life is a piece to this puzzle that reveals a more real with ourselves. And the further we go, the more you realize that the real secret lies in your willingness to learn, to let go of old beliefs, and embrace new opportunities. It is a journey that requires patience, but at the same time, it offers immense freedom for those who wish to walk this path with courage and honesty. When you start to realize all of this, it is clear that the change is not a matter of luck or external circumstances, but it's a matter of mindset. And this mentality, in turn, is shaped by the choices we make daily, through our thoughts and our actions. It is the foundation that supports all of our transformation. And then, when that is understood, we realize that each and every decision, however small it may seem, it has the potential to have an impact so deep in our history. It is as if we are always in the starting lineup, with the opportunity to choose to follow a path that is more aligned with who you really are, or to continue the comfort zone that keeps us stuck in old patterns. Now, when you think about all of this, it is clear that the greatest challenge is not in the outside world, but inside we are the same. It's a battle, a silent war of thoughts, emotions, and beliefs. And in this context, the key to change lies in our willingness to look within, to question all of the things that keeps us from moving forward, and to make room for the new one. Because deep down, the truth concealed is that we are responsible for the impact that our decisions have on our lives. And then, to take the power, we set out to build on a journey of self-transformation, which, even in the face of difficulties, it is one of the greatest adventures that you can live in. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me." I now want to go more in depth on this subject, for it is precisely in this moment of reflection that lots of people find the sight of a still, silent, almost invisible, but it has the power to transform your reality. The truth is hidden, it is often ignored, is that for each choice, no matter how simple it may seem, it bears a great potential to shape who we are and what we have accomplished. It is as if, deep down, we're constantly writing in a script in the invisible, in which each decision in a word, a phrase, that is, to accumulate, build up in the narrative of our lives. And it is this narrative, one seemingly at random or influenced by an external factor, in fact, it is a result of our awareness, our intent, and the understanding that we have about the role we have played in this process. When we begin to understand that we are the authors of our own story, a transformation from quiet start to happen. She doesn't have to be dramatic or full of grand gestures, but rather a shift in mindset and a clearer perception of our everyday actions, in our small decisions of each day, add up in a way that a lot of times we can't even imagine it at the time. It is at this point that a journey of self-discovery becomes a real adventure, as we see above the surface, in addition to the reasons we give for our behavior. We have found that, for the most part, we are the ones responsible for creating the conditions that lead to a particular outcome, to be a success, happiness, or even the obstacles that seem insurmountable. Such an understanding opens up a space for reflection on the impact of the choices we make in our daily lives, our emotional health, and our relationship with the world. Each and every decision to keep a positive attitude in the face of these challenges, as small as it may seem, it is the seed of a development that can grow into something bigger in the future. And what is more interesting is that this is a shift in perspective doesn't require great effort, but rather a new way of looking at yourself and the opportunities that are all around you. It is as though, all of a sudden, we realize that the true power lies in our ability to choose how you react to situations, and to learn from their failures as well as to appreciate the small victories in a day. On the other hand, this journey reveals a behind the scenes of your mind. Those automatic thoughts, which often act as saboteurs, will not be seen. They are the ones that create the illusion that you are trapped in an inevitable fate, when in fact, it all begins with the way we interpret our experiences with you. And here comes a revelation of the powerful. A change in mindset is the key to unlocking all that potential is hidden. When we started to question our own built-in limitations, we opened up the space for new possibilities, a new narrative of the life we are leading, and not just the audience with a script already written. Well, the revolution is going on inside of us, in our way of thinking, deciding, and acting. And in this process, it may appear to be silent. It has an immediate impact on our energy and our confidence, and the way in which we relate to each other. The more aware we are of what we can put the matter of the choices we make, the more you feel the freedom to create a life that aligns with our values and dreams. It is at this point that we realize that the change actually begins in our minds and in our willingness to face the challenges with courage, and our capacity to turn obstacles into opportunities for growth. And when you do that, you start to realize that the journey is ongoing, always offering new revelations and a learning, even through the most difficult times. Now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is exactly at the level of the understanding that major changes take place. When we become conscious of our proactive role in the construction of the product, it changes everything. The feeling of helplessness is dissolved, giving way to a position of leadership, responsibility, possibility, and hope. We understand that every choice is a chance to rewrite our history and transforming old patterns and create a version that is more in tune with who you really are and want it to be. And when you do that, you start to realize that true freedom lies in our ability to choose, to decide, for a change. All of this is, of course, it takes courage. It often is the most easy to follow to the script to which the routine is needed, even if it leads us to places that don't satisfy us completely. But that's the beauty of this process, is the opportunity to wake up to a new reality, to reconnect with the power that has always been inside of you. And if you think about these behind the scenes on our journey, it is clear that the impact doesn't come from what happens on the outside, but from our internal reaction to these situations. When you come to know that we are the only ones responsible for making it ourselves, it's more clear to you. With the freedom to choose whether to become a very powerful tool that is able to generate far-reaching changes, even the silent. And this realization leads us to question everything we thought was true, to explore our own limitations, and finding a strength in that, maybe then it would dormant in all of us. It's like a wake-up built-in, a connection that's more true to who we really are, what drives us forward, and we are always looking for growth and development. At this point, it is important to recognize that this journey of transformation is not linear nor quick, but it is full of nuances and the findings. Every step you take, every decision, however small they may seem to you, you will accumulate, building up a far-reaching impact on our lives. And at the same time, it shows our potential, the ones that often remains hidden because of the fear, the doubt, to or out of your comfort zone. When faced with the truth that is hidden, we realize that we go above and beyond what we imagined. We are able to overcome the limits of that before seemed to be insurmountable. And it all starts with a simple act of courage, is to recognize that, in some small way, we are the main characters in this story. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that's the true transformation happens when we are able to see beyond his own limitations, and to understand that our mindset is the key to unlocking this potential is to be hidden." A lot of people live trapped in a kind of self-deception, a comfortable, and where you believe that your circumstances define who you are and what you can achieve. But the truth is concealed. This is the point where you start in the way we choose to interpret the world around us, and, just as important, how do we deal with our own emotions and thoughts. A change of mind, the courage to question what they have been taught and which has been accepted as a fact, that is what makes all the difference on a journey of discovery and of evolution. When we reflect on the truth that is hidden, we realize that it is intimately related to the decisions that we make on a daily basis. For each choice, as small as it may seem, it carries an impact that reverberates in our journey through life. And then here comes the one concept that often goes unnoticed, is the importance of having a growth mindset. This mind is the bridge that connects us to who we become tomorrow. It is a kind of lens that enlarges our vision, allowing us to see possibilities where before you could only see the obstacles. And at the same time, it teaches us how to learn from mistakes, persisting in the face of difficulties, and to appreciate each and every step in the direction of your purpose. However, this understanding does not come out of nowhere. It is the result of a journey of self-discovery. A provision is earnest to be open to the signs that life brings. When we begin to question our own limiting beliefs, we come across a number of patterns in deep-rooted that it is often not realized. These patterns, which have become obstacles to the internal feed on the fear of failure or not being good enough. And it is precisely at this point that the transformation to begin to commit. To recognize these blocks, we can start to challenge them, to demystify them out, and create new stories of domestic, more aligned with our true potential. This is a change of mindset also leads to a renewal of the way we think about failure. Many see failure as a bad thing, a failure of a definitive and should be avoided at all costs. But the truth is concealed, this is the failure of one of the greatest sources of learning and growth. It carries a revelation that, if exploited, the courage to open up new doors and unexplored ways. This is an opportunity for the fit, reflection, and the building's interior. When we do this, we take it lightly and confidently, knowing that each and every offense, that is in fact, it is a step forward in our journey of self-discovery. And at the same time, this understanding leads to a more in-depth, the impact of these actions can cause, not only in our lives, but also the lives of those around us. The authenticity is, for example, is becoming a powerful tool in this transformation, as it allows us to align our actions with our values, the more the true. Accordingly, your decision-making will no longer be merely the reactions or automatic and will reflect who you really are and who you want to be. That connection between the inside and outside. And it's essential to create a journey of transformation that will be long-lasting, meaningful, and you will inspire those around us to also seek their own truth. They are influenced by different factors. All of this leads to a kind of awakening. A revelation is silent. That is, if you fed up with the discipline and dedication and have the power to transform lives, it's like opening a window to a world of possibilities that were right there, hidden behind a wall of doubt and insecurity. And when you realize that the truth is hidden, we came to understand that the biggest impact that we can make is the one that comes from within. within, not out of a genuine change in our way of thinking. Because when you transform the way you think, feel, and act, we are, in essence, writing a new story for ourselves, in a story that reflects what we are and can be. And in that moment of reflection, it becomes clear that this is a journey of discovery doesn't have a definite end. It is solid, with a constant evolution that demands attention, the courage, and the willingness to reinvent ourselves each and every day. And then, when you realize that all of this is within the reach of our hands, we are not aware of the true transformation starts with a decision to believe in our potential is unseen and is the first step to explore the universe of possibilities that lies in wait for us. After all, it is the journey to the truth is hidden. That is, in fact, it is a journey of self-love, confidence, and courage to be who you truly are, without masks or any limitations imposed by fear. So, right now, thinking about everything that has been shared here is the question, what is the word or phrase that stands out to you? This revelation is built. We are exploring. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me," or write one word that will enable you to summarize your connection with your potential to be hidden. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the truth. The hidden, which we are exploring, is not just a matter of unlocking the potential. It is, in essence, a change that challenges all of the things that you believe to be true about yourself. Many times we carry inside of us the stories that have built up over the years as the layer of skin that you need to take to actually get in touch with who we really are. These experiences can be shaped by the expectations of the outside, fears are rooted, or a need for approval, which it never meets. But when we begin to unravel the veil, we realize that our true essence, it was always there, invisible to the eye, just waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. It is a journey of self-discovery that takes courage, because when you open the door and you can find the truths that challenge everything we thought we knew about our history, our boundaries, and at times, even about who we are. To deepen the study of this process, you will begin to realize that the greatest transformation is happening in the way that you view yourself. It is as if a curtain has to be lifted slowly, revealing a new perspective, which at first, it may seem daunting, but it soon becomes poor. This change in mindset is essential because it has a direct influence on the decisions that you make on a day-to-day. For each choice, as small as it may seem, it will be an opportunity to reaffirm its power to create its own reality. It is as if you are awakening from a deep sleep, not realizing that the limitations of many of the times, they are just constructs of the mind that you have accepted as truth. And in that discovery, by itself, is already a huge step towards independence, emotional, and true freedom. In that way, the behind the scenes of this revelation, it often remains hidden from view, even for those of you who are on the path. These are details that, if disregarded, could cause you to go back to the starting point. It's as if nothing has changed. For this reason, it is important to immerse yourself in the basement of the mind, to understand what is really behind your thoughts or emotions, and, most importantly, to learn to separate what is true from what has been imposed or inherited. This is the journey of 1,000 autoconfronto of radical honesty with yourself, which calls for patience and compassion, because deep down, we're all in search of something that makes you feel full and stay connected with our deeper purpose. And then, when you do this, you will begin to realize that the impact of this change is not only a procedure, it echoes in all areas of your life, influence your relationships, your career, your emotional health, and your ability to create a reality that's more aligned with who you really are. At this point, many questions arise. What is really behind the decisions you make? What are the truths you are still avoiding to look at in the future? How these findings may open up doors for you that before seemed to be closed. It is at this point that the day-to-day increasing, because the search for the truth hidden. It is also a quest for authenticity. Every discovery, every insight, it works like a piece of a puzzle that, when assembled, reveals a clearer picture of their potential. And that's the image. For more challenging than it may seem at first, it is the greatest source of strength. When you start to accept your own story, with all its nuances, and gets to know that she didn't set limitations, but the opportunities you can create, it's all change in perspective. This is the culmination of the awakening. Realizing the power to change your reality, it is, above all, in their capacity to accept who you are right now, as it prepares to evolve into a version closer to the truth and to free himself. So, with all that was shared, until now, it is the sense of this meeting is, in fact, a construction that is constant. It is a trend that never ends. What is important is the commitment to pursuing this truth within, to recognize and behind the scenes of his growth, even if the routine is attempting to swallow all of it with its surface. It is a journey of self-discovery, which requires the full attention, the sensitivity to notice the signs of their own within it, and a willingness to reinvent yourself on a daily basis. After all, it's the true transformation happens when you decide to look into the courage, and, in doing so, he discovers that it is the greatest revelation of his own essence, one that was always there, just waiting to be discovered, lit by its own light. He comments that it makes no sense to me, or write one word that will enable you to summarize your connection with your potential to be hidden. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is when the connection is where the real journey starts to show in a clear manner. When we allow ourselves to unfold the layers of inner often hidden under the weight of the expectations of the outside, we realize that the biggest impact we can make in our lives, it comes to the inside. This finding, which appears to be simple at first glance, in actuality it is a silent revolution that is changing everything. It's as if, once you understand that, in our limitations, many of the times, they are mental constructs or the conditions of the purchased over time, we can start to dissolve them with an ease that seemed to be impossible. And there you have it. The transformation is no longer a quest far to make it, is a natural part of who we are in fact. Think of our lives as an endless source of possibilities, and it's liberating. When we get to see this font, it changes everything. Suddenly, one of the decisions before it seemed to be difficult or uploaded to the fear of becoming the steps of the natural walk of self-discovery. It is at that moment that our way of thinking and the growth was stronger, because we understand that every challenge is an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to bring us closer to our true selves. This knowledge is very powerful, because it replaces the idea of failure with a view to lifelong learning. And when you do that, you start to realize the impact we can have on the world around us that is out of proportion to the connection that we have with that deeper part of ourselves. Over the course of history, many of them discover that the greatest obstacle is not outside, but the inside of your own mind. The voice, the fear, the doubt, the trial, and those are the real enemies that will often prevent us from moving forward. And to understand this, we develop a new attitude to life, an attitude of courage, of honesty, and truthfulness. It's as if when you cut the old ties of uncertainty, we can open up space for a new narrative, a story with the color of truth, passion, and purpose. At this point, the impact is multiplied, because of our actions are not merely reactions to automatic and make informed decisions that align with our core phone. But more than that, in this connection, our truth is hidden. It also reveals a behind the scenes of what we really are. Many of the times, the people who live on the surface, being busy with routines and expectations of society or the masks are created in order to please other people. However, when we woke up to the truth that is hidden, we begin to realize that what really matters is the authenticity. This authenticity is what gives a sense of the choices we make, what we do, and the impact we want to make it in the world. It is at this point in the journey gains a new dimension, because it is a search for perfection, but by the alignment of true to who we really are. And this, in turn, attract the things that you heard about this new frequency, thus creating a domino effect of change. This movement has been built, which is often a silent and nearly invisible to others. This is the one that actually supports our development. This is from the film that appear in the revelations of the deepest ones, the ones who are changing the way we view our ability to pay. Each and every insight, each and every moment of clarity, it works like a piece of a jigsaw puzzle. You'll be falling in place, little by little. And at the same time, we realize that a journey is not linear. Rather, it is full of ups and downs, moments of doubt and certainty of a sudden. But the thing that really matters is the direction you choose to take it, because this defines the impact that we can create our own history and the history of those that are around us. So, when you think about all of this, it becomes clear that the real change is in the courage to look in the mirror with honesty, to admit our vulnerability, and at the same time, to recognize the potential that is there, hidden behind its own set of limitations. This is the culmination of a journey of self-discovery, a journey that requires patience, resilience, and a shot of boldness. And when we delve into it, we realize that the greatest strength is in the simplicity of accepting who we are. In fact, no masks, no outside expectations, only for the fact that pulses within each and every one of us. And when you do that, everything around you starts to grow. It is not by chance, but by a natural extension of that authenticity, and we begin to grow. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me," or write one word that will enable you to summarize your connection with your potential to be hidden. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that's the true transformation, is often the case in moments of quiet, in the small decisions we make every day. It is here that we begin to realize that authenticity is not a permanent state, but a journey of discovery continued. When you stop to look inward, to listen to the little voice that often gets hidden by the noise of the outside world, we can begin to understand that our actions, our choices, show what we are willing to accept or to reject it in ourselves. And in the latter, it appears to be simple at first glance. It is in fact one of the tasks that are most challenging that we have, because deep down, we are surrounded by expectations and standards that have been imposed since early on, in a constant search for approval. The pressure of social comparison and the fear of being in a trial, all of this creates a layer of heavy that it often keeps us from being truly free to be who we really are. It is as if, in the course of time, we lost our connection with our inner selves, with that pure, who do not need the label of the external validation, for perfection is apparent. And that is exactly where the magic starts to happen. When I decided to leave those masks, the same as that for a moment, and allow yourself to feel what you really are, without filters. On the basis of this decision, everything around you starts to win with a whole new meaning. Our relationships to each other, for example, people to become more honest, because they have to be based on unrealistic expectations and will reflect who you really are. And in the process, we've learned that the people around you will also feel that authenticity, even if it is subtle. It's like a connection to the unseen, which builds on honesty, transparency, and courage in showing our vulnerabilities and our strengths while at the same time. And then, when you do this, you begin to attract the things that really resonates with our inner selves. At the same time, this is a journey that requires courage, because it challenges our most deeply rooted in our unconscious mind. It takes courage to leave behind what no longer serves you, to confront the fears of the ancients, to give up the certainty that, in fact, it was only the illusion of control. And, in the process, many of the revelations that have come to light about who we are, in fact, about the impact our actions have on our own lives and in the lives of others, about what really matters to you. These findings act as an internal compass, guiding us in the direction of living a life more aligned with our deepest values. Transformation, then, is not an isolated event, but rather a sequence of little choices that we will accumulate and form a new reality. It's as if they made a conscious decision to be true to himself. It was like a seed planted in the earth, and the authenticity, over time, gives you the fruits of freedom, inner peace, and purpose. And then, when you realize all of this, it is clear that the impact of that journey is just that: the ability to inspire others to break free from the bondage of lies, to find their own truth, and to live more lightly on the planet. A string of revelations which, when understood, has transformed not only our lives but the world around us. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the connection between authenticity and the impact that it's something that you just perceive it in full. The truth is hidden behind this relationship shows that, in the freedom of the mask, we're not only changing our history, but we are also creating a ripple effect that influences everything around us. Our stock of authentic generates some kind of a vibration, which resonates at the frequency of the universe, attracting the opportunities, relationships, and experiences that are aligned with who you really are. It is as if the decision to live in it with sincerity, it was a piece of a large jigsaw puzzle, the design of which revealed a fuller life, a more meaningful life. And at this point, it is obvious that you do not need to do or achievements of great ones to make up the difference. The change arises from within, out of the small actions daily, and the courage to be who you really are, even if that means facing rejection or discomfort, is brief. When we become conscious of the power we have to shape our own reality, the power of authenticity, we see that every step taken in this direction, it is a victory for the silent, an assertion of freedom. And this freedom, in turn, influences all around us, creating an atmosphere of honesty and respect for each other. Little by little, we will be expanding, breaking down the barriers that before seemed to be insurmountable. For this reason, it is crucial to understand that the journey is ongoing, and a kind of a loop of self-discovery that never ends really. Each day brings new learning, new revelations, and new choices to stay true to what we feel in the deepest part of ourselves. And when you do that, you start to realize that true strength lies in vulnerability, in order to show you who we are, fully, and without fear of judgment or rejection. Because after all, the greatest change happens when we are freed of the burden of pleasing others, and we may please ourselves to live according to the truth. To end this reflection, I want to make an idea of what you may tap into the essence of all of this. The authenticity is not a destination. It is a daily practice, and a conscious decision to keep it aligned with your heart, even when the outside world seems to try and pull it to the opposite. And then, when you do this, you will begin to realize that each and every step, however small it may seem, it is a very important part in the construction of a more real, more powerful, more and more. This is a journey of self-discovery and transformation. It is a bridge that connects you to who you were to who you can become, revealing the potential of the occult, which very often it is hidden behind the fear, doubt, or insecurity. And then, when you wake up to that fact, everything around her begins to change in ways that we don't always get to see it right away, but you will certainly feel it in your heart. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that's the true transformation doesn't just happen on the surface. It is rooted in the very essence of who we are and how we choose to look at life. Many times, people get carried away for a routine control, where the comfort zone becomes a sort of prison are invisible, thus preventing them to be aware of the potential you carry within you. It's like being on a stage, lit up with a script to be tested, but not the courage to go up to the stage and to show you who you really are. And it is precisely at this point that a journey of self-discovery, it becomes a silent revolution, is able to reveal the truth hidden, that is ours, but only a few have the guts to stand up in front of you. When we begin to question our own decisions and to understand where they're coming from, our deepest fears, and why we behave in a given way in the face of adversity, we take an important step in the direction of the change. This reflection is like a mirror, which very often, it shows not only that we want to hide it, but it's also what we can become. And on the basis of this understanding, a new perspective emerges that our actions are not random, but rather is the result of a set of beliefs, experiences, and decisions that have often been imposed on or acquired acquired in the course of that time, without notice. At this point, the transformation is starting to take shape. It is not an instant change, but it's an ongoing process. It is about having the courage to face your own shadows and open-minded to accept the truth, as hard as it may seem. It's the freedom to be recognized that the control of what we are, in large part, out of our hands. And then, to take the reins on this journey, we have realized that all the decisions that impact not only the major, but also in the little gestures of daily, in the words that we choose and the approach that we have adopted in the face of difficulties. With each step taken in the way, it reveals a new layer of potential, and that they have always been there, hidden under a layer of insecurity or self-criticism. It's like a light that illuminates the behind the scenes of our minds, revealing the revelation that many of the times we would prefer to ignore. And at the same time, it is an invitation to open our eyes to a new reality, a reality where we could rewrite our history to shape our thoughts and therefore our actions. This is where the real transformation is possible, because it is no longer a distant hope, and it is a conscious decision to evolve and to reinvent itself, to break with the standards and limitations that prevent us from achieving what we really want. To dive deeper into this journey, we've learned that the greatest revelations that take place in the moments of quiet, when we stop to listen to our own inner voice. In the silence, a lot of times, and we find the answers that were hidden under a layer of noise outside, doubts or expectations of others. And when you hear this one voice, that we can begin to understand that change is not something that happens from the outside in, but from the inside to the outside. It is a change that is born in our way of thinking, our way of looking at the world and ourselves, and that is to be powered by the conscious decisions, is manifested in our reality in surprising ways. With this understanding, so simple as it may sound, it has a profound impact on the way we think about the challenges of day to day. Suddenly, what seemed to be impossible or scary, if that makes a call to courage and an opportunity to grow. And it is in this movement of self-discovery where the real power to move forward, even when everything around you seems to fall apart. Because deep down, we know that the greatest change is in our ability to keep the faith in your own journey, to believe that even in times of difficult, we are evolving, learning, and empowering for what's coming next. In the meantime, the universe conspires to help those who have had the courage to look in the mirror and accept it with all its imperfections, knowing that they too are a part of the process of growing up. Each and every scar, every doubt, every mistake becomes a lesson and gift, a piece of design that make up the jigsaw puzzle of our being. And then, when we were able to put together these pieces, clearly, we see that the history of life is a narrative and unique, and full of possibilities for self-creation. After all, it is the transformation, it is not the absence of trouble, but in our ability to use them as stepping stones to reach the highest levels of self-awareness and fulfillment. Now, as I reflect back on all of this, it is clear that the journey to finding out who we are, and the truth is that it is also a day of its release. Release limiting beliefs, fears that paralyze, and dreams that take us away from what really matters to you. And then, when you make such a deep connection with our inner selves, we can begin to see the impact that our choices can have on the lives of other people in the society and the world around us. Because when you turn to us to them, we are also contributing to a change in the larger, more extensive, more dramatic. And this change, which seems to be so in the individual, in fact, it is a collective movement that begins within each and every one of us, but it echoes all around, creating a wave of impact that will only increase as more and more people awaken to their own truth and to hide it. That's the beauty of all of this. Realize that the real revolution starts from the inside to the outside, and that every step taken in this direction, it is a celebration of our authenticity and a reaffirmation of what we are capable of shaping our own destiny. And as we continue in this way, every discovery, every revelation, it is clear that the journey is ongoing and full of new possibilities and a multitude of learning experiences, which will only increase our determination to move forward, to tap into the infinite potential you carry within you. Because at the end of the day, the greatest change is the one that leads us to recognize that, on a permanent basis, who are the authors of our own stories can write a new chapter each day with a spirit of courage, hope, and truth. He comments that it makes no sense to me. I now want to go more in depth on this topic because they understand that the journey of transformation is, in fact, is to show the behind the scenes of our own mind, and in that secret room where all the decisions, beliefs, and emotions and to shape who we are. When you begin to realize that we have to write a new chapter, it's not just a matter of will or of strength of will, but also to a radical shift in our way of thinking. It's like opening the curtains of a stage in the dark, and to prove it, on the back of the drapes, it all depends on the choices we make, from our understanding of who we really are and the impact we cause in our history. It is liberating, because it is. At the same time that it brings about accountability, it also gives us the power to rewrite the script of your life. And this power is not outside of us, something outside you, but within each one of you, in your ability to change the thoughts, to break down limiting beliefs, and creating a new narrative based on a deeper truth that we have found along the way. When we begin to explore these behind the scenes to internal, we are faced with a series of revelations that a lot of times we would prefer to conceal or ignore it, as if it were easier to get on with living on the surface of the face our own shadows. But in fact, in these moments of dialogue are key to our transformation to be a genuine and long-lasting. When you immerse yourself in these scenes, we realize that many of our daily decisions are influenced by a sort of internal dialogue, which often don't have a conscience. It is a dialogue that can be uploaded to the doubts, fears, and insecurities, or that of hope, courage, and confidence. And the big key to the change, you are looking to learn how to listen to the dialogue, to understand where they're coming from strong emotions, and most importantly, to choose what is the narrative we want to feed. After all, the mind is a battlefield that is quiet, where the impact of our decisions will determine the course of our history. The impact of this is profound, because when we change our mindset, we also change the way we see the world around us. The opportunities appear to be different, and the difficulties, they become obstacles to the minors, and, in some way, even with the losses that take on a new meaning. It is as if, to unravel those behind the scenes, we have also discovered a truth that is hidden, that which was always there, hidden by the layers of fear and doubt, but which, once it was revealed, it gives us an irresistible force to move forward. And that strength comes from the understanding that we are not victims of our circumstances, but the authors of our own story. Every decision we make, every thought that we have cultivated, it is a piece that makes this a great puzzle that is our life. And when you realize this, you begin to understand that we may, at any time, to rewrite a small part of our roadmap, setting out the colors, the characters, and by the end, they seem to be on track. This is the true magic of the transformation, the freedom to create, to develop, even in the most difficult moments. The journey then becomes a constant search for such self-knowledge, for this is truly connected with who we really are. When we allow ourselves to tap into these scenes, and domestic, we begin to see our own limitations in a whole new light, as something we can overcome with fortitude and determination. At each step, we have constructed a mindset that is stronger, more resilient, and that prepares us for the challenges that will come with a clear view, and it is a soul light. And in the process, we found that the greatest change happens when we stop being just spectators to us, and we have become the protagonists of what they write for each chapter, along with the hope, courage, and truth. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that's the quest for authenticity. And freedom of mind is, in fact, it's a journey of self-discovery that reveals the true impact that our choices can have on our lives. When we begin to understand the power we have to shape our reality, and it changes everything, we realize that every thought, every decision, it's like a seed planted in the fertile soil of our mind. And that is, to nurture it with care and intention, we can create a forest of possibilities, such as before would have seemed impossible. And in this forest, it is composed of dreams and passions, and to a new understanding that we deserve a life in alignment with who you truly are, free from the constraints of the old versions of themselves. With this revelation, in turn, leads us to think more deeply about the impact of the choices we make in the world around us. After all, to transform our way of thinking, they also have an effect on the people around us, our relationships, and even the way we think about the future. It's as if, when moved inside, to create a kind of ripple effect that spreads out all of the aspects of our existence, and by bringing a new perspective, hope, and the attitude of the leadership role that you did not have before seen. This connection between the interior and the exterior is actually the essence of any true transformation, because it shows that we have in our mind, it is not insulated, but it echoes in every action, every decision, and, as a result, in the history of life. This is why this is a journey of self-discovery and liberation of the mental is not easy, but it is also incredibly freeing. With each revelation, each and every decision-making in a conscious way, it is a very important part in the construction of a narrative, more in line with our values and dreams of the most profound. And, at the same time, their journey reveals that the truth is hidden behind the limitations of our many times that it is only in our minds, waiting to be opened. When we look beyond our own walls, we found that the real difference lies in the courage to take the first step, in order to confront our own shadow, and continuing to believe that we can be whoever we want to be. In order for this transformation to be complete, we must also accept the fact that the process is non-linear. There are many ups and downs, moments of doubt, and of course, but the important thing is to keep your focus in the direction of growth. One step forward, every insight, it is a win that strengthens our minds and prepare us for the challenges ahead. And in doing so, we are providing a new way of life. A life that is more authentic, more in tune with our inner selves, where the real impact is measured by how much we are connected to our own truth. Because at the end of the day, the greatest revolution that is going on inside of each and every one of us, in those moments when you decided to take control, to challenge your own limiting beliefs, and create a story that truly represents you. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me. If you've come this far, it's because I really identified with this idea of searching for a life more in tune with who you really are." And look, this is a journey of self-discovery, and transformation does not have to be a lonely one. The important thing is to keep exploring, reflecting, and practicing each step. It makes sense to you. This content is made sensible sense of. Leave your like here so that we can continue bringing you the topics that really helps us to grow and learn more. If you like this, you just subscribe to the channel, so you can stay up to date with everything we share. Will always, with a look that is more human and helpful, thinking about the evolution of light and natural. And of course, I want to know, I'm with you till the end. Or, this post was for me. Leave your comment because your opinion is very important and it helps to create a stronger connection between us. And don't miss a beat. There's a video right here on the side which complements this subject matter, and it can't help you further on this journey. Click there, and still am there. It is because of the next step. It's also an opportunity to drill down and find out new perspectives. At the end of the day, the most important thing is that you have to follow if you care, respect, and listening. With every step, however small it may seem, it is an accomplishment in itself. So, stay with me, and even the upcoming content we've been together on this journey.